Hey everybody, this is Dan, the man with the minivan. This is my new channel. Simple waking up, baking up, and watching the news. So, this is my opinions on the daily news while I have my cup of coffee. My YouTube loving John Campea. If you like the movies, you like the news, watch John Campea. He's the shit. But I'm going to enjoy this cup of coffee, enjoy this cigarette, smoke on the bowl, see what we got to say on the news this morning. It is February 25th, I believe, 2021. We're starting off with way too early. Yes, I watch MSNBC news. I agree with the majority of what they got to say. I don't agree with everything. But the biggest thing is I like the way they present things, you know. Look, I watch a lot of different newses. A lot of them are linked. I do watch a lot of MSNBC and CNN. But I try to watch Fox. I try, you know. But you get 5 minutes into it and it's like, bullshit, 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 bullshit. You know, so I do have them on my watch list. I do pay attention to what they got to say, too. I haven't brought myself to go down the rabbit hole that is Newsmax or OAE or OAN or whatever flick. Republican loving crazy mother effers. So I want to hear what's actually going on. But of course that's always hard to do. You know, you really got to filter through the BS. And I'm not saying that CNN and MSNBC is on point, okay, but you take enough information, you put it all together, and you make your own freaking conclusion, right? And I gotta see things at face value, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna dive into the potential or the maybes and the, you know, things like that. I try to take in all the news that I can and use my own mind and my own rationale to figure it out. And you have to do that in today's age. There's just so much misinformation out there, but you never know where it's coming from, okay? I'm not saying that the media is perfect. I'm not saying, you know, CNN is the best. I just happen to agree with at least how they present things, okay? So, keeping that in mind, I'm watching Way Too Early with Casey Hunt. Just before we get into some Morning Joe with my Morning Joe. Haven't quite decided whether or not I'm going to record as I'm watching the whole thing or just turn it on at times I got stuff to say. That's probably the way I'm going to do it because I am going to pay attention and watch. So, keep in tuned, see what you think of what I got to say. Definitely leave a comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. I'm interested, I'm curious. I encourage anybody and everybody to attempt to change my mind. Because that's the only way we learn, okay? Like, I hate when people just kind of cut things off and this is it, this is the way it is, this is, you know, solid, written in stone. You know, there's no changing of minds. Well, that's just a stupid way of seeing things, okay? It just is. Everybody learns new shit every single day. But you really got to be careful what, you know, you're putting in your brain, in your mind, in your eyes, you know what I mean, what you're watching, stuff like that. You have to take everything at face value. But at the same time, you can't be diving into conspiracy theory land, you know? That's just, I mean, it's like it's pure fiction. Or it's pure nonfiction. Can't remember how that works. But there's so much that people just are putting into the story or in the narrative or, you know, in the situation that's just not there. You know? And then, yeah, you can add to that in your mind, absolutely. I mean, we are all very imaginative people, and with so many media sources, so much information being brought into your brain, things are going to get twisted. It just is. Look at history and society, okay? You got, a group of people that are being told something that isn't necessarily the truth, but they believe it full-heartedly enough to live, to risk their lives, and to live in constant tension and fear. Look, it's easy to make a comparison to the Republicans with Donald Trump, and, Jonestown, okay, with Jim Jones, and Charles Manson and his ranch. Like, it's very easy to link the two because they're being given information they want to believe is true. They look up to a man that seems to have power and everything. So yes, we want to really trust in that person. But, you really can't full-heartedly put every eggs in a single basket. You really can't. When you do that is when you put yourself in a corner that you have to constantly, defend and bob and weave out of because you are centered in that belief because of the leadership that comes with that, and that goes early on to things, that goes deep into our psychology, into our history, and everything like that. But so many people don't want to feel that they're weak or weak-minded, that they can be manipulated, because nobody wants to feel manipulated in any kind of way. We are manipulated from the beginning of our little bittiness as kids to starting out with Santa Claus, man. Come on. I'm a parent. I got kids. I do try to keep that magic of Christmas alive with the lie that is Santa Claus. But when you think about it, you start off even at a young age being manipulated with untruths. And it doesn't really change as you go on. But as you find out that these mistruths are happening from people you have immense respect and love for, you find out that, wow, they've been deceiving us this whole time. Well, shit, I'm not going to let nobody deceive me. I'm on top of your little game, and no matter who it is. So with that kind of mindset, when you have somebody that's kind of fueling that insecurity of the truth with stuff, you can't help but be manipulated. There's always an avenue to manipulation. I'm also somewhat of a salesperson. Most of my career has been in selling, and it's the same kind of way. How many times I've manipulated people to buy an extra bag of cookies? Sweet talk them into something. Hell, us men, come on, how many times do we get talked into situations with females? There's an excellent movie called The Majestic with Jim Carrey. It's a really great drama that he does. And a small part of that is that he plays a screenwriter from back during the Red Scare after World War II, fear of communism in America, trying to blacklist people in the entertainment industry, accusing them as spies and sending messages through media. Where does that sound flippin' familiar? That was during the Red Scare, post-World War II, fear of communism, fear of, the beginnings of the Cold War, and stuff like that. Well, they target Jim Carrey's character because they find his name on a sign-up sheet for a allegedly communist Nazi gathering or event. Well, in his defense, and it makes a perfectly good one, is hey, if you look at the name before mine, that was a girl I was trying to woo and trying to get with, so I was there because she was there, and I was just trying to get some tail. But he lost everything he had being put on this blacklist because he followed a piece of tail into a allegedly communist dinner party. I mean, you know, so it's very easy to be manipulated and being brought to a place or, you know, go into a situation you wouldn't normally do because of what? Because of this person, that person. But then what's the alternative? Then you're skeptical of every situation you go find yourself in. So, you know, that's where the paranoia starts kicking in. And then it's, who can I trust? I don't know if I can trust anybody. This girl screwed me over. This guy screwed me over. This family member screwed me over. This coworker screwed me over. You know, so everybody screwed me over. Let me make sure that I'm ahead of the game. And, you know, then you find yourself burying yourself in a hole of nothingness because you don't trust anything around you. So then guess what? You are left to your own devices and what limited knowledge you have because you're not willing to absorb any information because you don't trust information. I mean, that right there is the structure of misinformation. That is the structure of misinformation. So, that's what I always try to think about as I'm watching the news and stuff like that, is if I can at least absorb as much information as possible and then use my brain and my common sense to filter out the bullshit, you know, I'm more of a well-rounded person. You know, look, I can understand some Republican ideals, you know. There's a couple of the things that come to my mind that I can agree with Republicans that I don't necessarily agree with Democrats, even though I consider myself to be one. Go Obama. And Joe. I just don't have a Joe. But I got Obama. I don't agree with the elimination of the death penalty. I live in Virginia. We just passed, I guess, will be the 23rd state to eliminate the death penalty. I don't agree with that. I just don't. If you kill somebody, especially more than one person, you should die. Period. What the hell is the point of keeping your ass alive anymore? And more or less making us as taxpayers keep you alive. Like, you know, I've heard that argument my whole life, and it was like, whatever, I don't give a crap. But, like, when you really think about it, I mean, come on, that is flipping true, right? Well, look, I understand that people can be put on death row and be innocent. That is very, very possible. But with the way that we have technology now, that really should be not the case. And why are they on the death penalty anyway, unless you have DNA evidence, like truthful flipping evidence, and you know this person did it, then you do not pass go, do not collect $200, man. Like, and with the technology we have to find that evidence, you would think that, hell, every state should have the death penalty and make sure that by forensic evidence, that person is guilty. That's the only way we're finding out now that some of the people that are on death row or that have died because of death row were indeed actually innocent, is because of the technology that we have now. So, use that technology as the determining factor to whether or not a criminal who, you know, killed a family of 5 just because doesn't just sit in a cell all hunky-dory. They took lives, man. What, his life is more important than theirs? I don't think so. So, yeah, that's one of the very few issues that I do agree with the Republicans. Absolutely. Now, I'm not against all Republicans. There's a handful that I can applaud and get behind. And guess what? They're every single one that says, boo Trump. What is that, 9 of them? You know? I like Mitt Romney. He's one that I really did like. And if he wasn't going against my man Obama during his presidential race, I would have voted for him. Like, no joke. I would have voted for him. Because you want to talk about somebody that is a businessman and that has done very productive things in his life, it is Mitt Romney. Trump at the popularity contest. You know damn well that that is the case. But you know what? That is a subject for another time, for another channel, and pretty much the underline of everything I'm going to talk about. Because I hate Trump. He has destroyed our country as we know it. Like, for real. He has manipulated so many people that not only just the people around that live in my neighborhood, but senators and governors and people of power he has manipulated. It's amazing. But you know what? He's had decades and decades and decades of the con man ability. Especially when his family allegedly had ties with the mafia and the mob. Allegedly. But it kind of makes sense if you look at the way he's trying to run things, or did try to run things. Looks like I'm watching the freaking Godfather. And he's Marlon Brando. Like, no joke. So, let's keep our eyes open, keep our minds wide, absorb as much as we can, filter it out for yourself, man. That's the key of the human survival. Our number one natural defense against, the world is our brain. It's the only thing that distinguishes us from the animals, is our brain. Animals have claws and fur and, use those adaptations to their survival. Well, guess what? Our only survival ability is our brain. We ain't got claws, we ain't got fur, that's why you gotta build stuff, keep us, warm and, stuff like that, unlike animals. But we have to use this to do that. So, let's continue to use this. Let's really think about things through before we just start jumping into things. Let's keep posted. Let's see what we got to say today. Like I said, click and subscribe, leave me some comments. Let me know what you got to say.